Hello everybody. Been a little while, huh? A little bit too long. Yeah, I have no excuses. All I want to say is I am ready to get back into the videos. I am ready to watch a little Steven Universe, and coming soon, who knows, perhaps a little Doctor Who that I should have watched a while ago. But let's get right into it. Today's episode is Steven Universe's Chille Tid, I think is what it's called. But regardless, let's start the episode and begin the reaction. Sorry if the computer gets loud.
This isn't getting us anywhere. It's not a pierogi. Tired?
Pierogi?
Tired. I get results. For all we know, Lapis and JASPER's fusion could be right under our noses.
Huh.
This is why we wear life jackets. And I'm sick of these. Life diapers. Safety is no punchline, bro.
Life diapers.
We must find Jasper. Don't you guys need rest too? You look exhausted. Really not sleeping.
Oh my god.
Maybe we can. Can I help you?
Chille Tid.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, there's Chille Tid.
It's gonna be this huge bonfire party thing.
Okay, I'm ready for the big dance cut.
Dear, that's not horrifying.
Sir, I'm one of your biggest fans. Can I please have your autograph? Wait, where are you going?
Aww.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for fixing my van.
Oh my god.
I told you. No.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yep, it was Jasper's hair.
You. I'm not Lapis anymore. We're malachite now. Lapis, no! Amethyst was on a skateboard, and then Doc upped her out at me and was just not interested in what I had to say at all. And I might have some issues I need to work out, but she's still.
I know you're worried. There's nothing we can do right now. So let's take it easy. I'll show you how it's done.
That's pretty convincing. Garnet?
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought I had it that time. I didn't. Oh well. So, holy crap. I don't even know what to think about this episode. I will be back momentarily with the review portion of this video. Alright everyone, welcome back to the review portion of this video, and holy crap. Managed to get all my thoughts together. Just so you know, I know that there's probably a lot of sound going on, mainly from the computer. Still trying to get the whole sound thing figured out with recording here in the office, which, I haven't done in a while, so it's been a little bit hard to do. But that being aside, let's get into the review, starting with my favorite parts of this episode. The first of which was really just a scene where they were doing the searching for Jasper and Lapis. Just everything that transpired in that beginning scene was, it was really enjoyable, and it kind of leads into some of the other parts that I really liked, starting with the next one, which is Pearl calling lifesavers, or no wait, it wasn't lifesaver, a life jacket, life diapers. Life diapers. I know it's, the whole alien thing, but it just seems like such a strange way to put it at all. So yeah, life diapers was a big one. Oh, and also when Garnet threw hers off of the raft and like formed her vest, or is that a vest or is that just like her torso? Anyway, turned her torso into a life vest. That was pretty great. And my next favorite part, again, it's like it has to do with, all the searching they've been doing, but it's the gems looking exhausted. Now, there have been times where the gems have been flustered, they look tired from battle, but there was something about this episode in particular that, like, Amethyst looked exhausted from the get-go, and so did Pearl. It's like he didn't show it as much as Amethyst. But then when we get that close-up of all three of the crystal gems, and it's just, Garnet has like the old lady wrinkles, and Pearl and Amethyst just look so tired. It was just a hilarious moment that I really liked. Again, as far as the drawing and the animation of this episode goes, they really captured that essence of being tired that has to be portrayed through these characters. So really, really like that. My next favorite part was the slumber party. For several reasons. I mean, obviously there was Steven's dreams, which I'll get into in a minute, but probably the biggest part of the slumber party itself has to be that Pearl can't grasp, or she's not really able to grasp sleeping and dreams, just the difficulty she has with that. Which, well, for Amethyst, it's like, she's from Earth, so she's been around humans more, so it's just kind of something she knows to emulate, whereas Pearl is however old, so it's fair to say that the majority of her lifetime, she hasn't really been observing humans or trying to figure out how they sleep or anything like that. So yeah, just the whole concept of Pearl not being able to grasp dreams and sleeping, it's just, I really like that. I hope it's something that they'll delve into a little bit more in the future. Who knows how much, but I do like it all the same. Now, my next favorite part is a big one, and it's Steven's dreams, including one of Pearl's, or well, Pearl's dream, but like basically the dreams in general. And certain elements of those as well. It's like in the first dream of Steven's, where everything is black and white, it was kind of emulating the old sitcoms of the 50s and 60s. And then Garnet shows up as the Fonzie character with the really like normal eyes. Like the character was just wearing glasses instead of sunglasses, which was kind of weird, but again, like a really interesting animation choice. But then she said the title's episode, which is Chille Tid, at least I think that's how you pronounce it. And I'm going to revisit that in a bit, but yeah, she said the titles, or the episode's title, but also in the sitcom dream, there was the Lapis nightmare when the door opens. And it should be clear from the reaction, but that was terrifying. Like, that's the kind of thing you see in horror movies, is just someone like appearing behind a door and just water, it's like they have no eyes, water's just gushing out of their eyes and out of their mouth. That was horrifying. That was a very well done horror element in this episode. My next favorite part of the episode, having to do with Steven's dreams, was Dogcopter. It was very simple, but the mere fact that Dogcopter meowed at Steven, it struck me as hilarious. And so yeah, but anyway, and we find out that Lapis has to concentrate. You'd think it might still be part of the dream, or is Steven like actually tapping into her subconscious, or the subconscious of Malachite? And then my next favorite part of the dreams in the episode was Pearl's dream about Rose. And where Rose turns into Greg. Just the way she reacts to that. That was by far the funniest part of this entire episode, which is that scene where Greg's head turns around, and then like he's sticking out his tongue, and it's like pizza comes out, which they were surfing on pizza, or writing on pizza, I think. Which is also kind of strange because Pearl doesn't eat human food, so why pizza? It leads me to a whole lot of questions, but I don't know. Anyway. And then the final dream where it's Steven does actually find Lapis. He apparently appears in more than just the subconscious of Malachite. And Jasper starts to take over because Steven, made Lapis lose concentration. She's able to take back over, thankfully. But just that was another excellent horror element, like when Jasper comes from the floor and she starts crawling towards Steven. You. So good, and wonderful horror elements. I loved it. And then, to wrap it all up, my final favorite part of this episode was when Garnet shows them how it's done. It's just a simple and starts snoring. It was a nice little wrap up, a funny little way to end the episode, and yeah, I mean, those are all my favorite parts. I would love to hear your all's favorite parts about this episode, and also some of your annoyances. I didn't mention any annoyances because, to be honest, I don't have any in this episode. If I have any annoyances at all, it would have to be what is my question of the episode, and that's, what the crap is Chille Tid? What is it? I probably should have looked online and tried to, find a definition of it or something like that, but I don't know. If I do find it, I'll put it here on the screen. All the same, it's just like, that's probably my one actual annoyance, is like Chille Tid is the title, Chille Tid is said by Garnet in the dream, but what is it? What is it? It doesn't make any sense, and maybe it's just something that actually is nonsense, which has to do with the dreams, but I guess I'll see if I actually find out the definition to the phrase. But yeah, other than that, no annoyances for this episode. It was really well done, animation was spot on, loved the horror elements, and it was just overall quite enjoyable. It was another one of those just really enjoyable Steven Universe episodes that doesn't make me want to say the F word. Filler. Because it's not. It didn't feel like filler. But anyway, I'm going to move on before someone comments down below. But, as for moments of terror in this episode, it's clear that there were some, the first of which was Nightmare Lapis, or I was going to say maybe the Grudge Lapis, but I don't think the Grudge had any of the water coming out of the eyes. This is something, Waters of Mars, the Waters of Mars. If you haven't seen Doctor Who, if you have seen Doctor Who, think to the Waters of Mars episode. Yeah. And if you haven't seen Doctor Who, or you don't know what I'm talking about, I apologize, but let's just say it is a very horror-centric episode. And I'll leave it at that. But then my next moment of terror, even though it made me laugh, was Greg's pizza tongue. It's like when Rose's face turns into Greg's and Pearl's dream, and then all of a sudden it's like he opens his mouth and pizza starts coming out. There's just something very creepy and off about that. It just, I don't know, it gave me, it's hard to describe. It's almost like that feeling of Uncanny Valley, but just something felt wrong, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that, but it was really weird and strange and somewhat horrifying to me. Now, as for tracks of the episode, I couldn't really think of any. I don't think I was, unfortunately, really paying attention to this episode to really get a grasp of any particular tracks to name out. So if there are any that you all noticed or that you know of from this episode that you would like to point out, please do let me know, because I would love to revisit some of that music on its own, apart from the episode. Moving on from there, I have a quote of the episode. Now, admittedly, there were some really solid lines in this episode overall, and the one that really just hit you the hardest, or at least I see it that way in this episode, is when Lapis does like the shield over herself with the water when she finally does take back over control from Jasper, and she says, "I'm not Lapis anymore, we're Malachite now." And then she sinks down below, and it's somewhat horrifying and sad also, because it's like, I mean, it's like as a fusion, they are Malachite. And she has to maintain that form of balance to keep control of Malachite. So she can't just be Lapis. If she's Lapis on her own, she loses concentration. She isn't able to control the entire being. So she has to believe that she is part of that whole. Or at least that's the way I see it. I might be talking out my bum here, but yeah, it's just, that quote was so good. And if you have any of your own, I would love to hear what they are. Again, there were some really good lines from this episode, which there's really good lines in a lot of them, so, you know, always a plethora of choices. And I mentioned my question of the episode, what is Chille Tid? Chille Tid, however the crap is pronounced, I don't know. But as for a theory for this episode, I can only assume that we are going to be seeing the return of Malachite, the return of Lapis and Jasper very soon. Given the next episode's title, Cry for Help, it could be that Lapis finally does lose control, so she sends a cry out for help to Steven and the other crystal gems. Or it may be completely unrelated. It's hard to tell until I actually see it. But that is my theory, is that probably within the next 4 episodes, we'll see the return of Malachite. At least that's my theory on it overall. Now, overall thoughts on this episode, it should be pretty clear. I loved this episode. I loved it. I mean, the favorite parts aside, it's a good, solid episode. They really use those horror elements well. I loved how they explored the aspect of dreaming and sleeping with the crystal gems outside of just Amethyst, who, you know, we had seen her pretend to sleep before. But yeah, everything about this episode was really solid, and it has me really excited to see what comes next, whether it's next episode that Malachite returns or whenever it happens. And the episodes seem to be getting better and better, especially in this second season as time goes on. First season was kind of hit and miss, it seemed like, but the second season seems to be pretty consistent. Although I haven't watched the episodes in a while, so I could be completely forgetting my previous opinions. If that's the fact, feel free to call me out on it in the comments. But that is it for this episode of Discovering Steven Universe. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do let me know what you think about this episode overall down below. I will be back next time for Cry for Help, and also, hopefully, I will be back soon with some Discovering Doctor Who, discovering classic Doctor Who. And that's probably all I can manage for now, but I'll try and do more if I can. Until next time, everyone, I am Papa Ken. Later days.